Good afternoon, everyone. We're just admitting everybody into the lobby now. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our final ReefYARNS, deciding together the Future Alliance. A very, very exciting one today, and glad to have you here for it. I might jump straight into it as we're 12:05 already. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the Great Barrier Reef and their deep and ongoing connection they hold to sea country. I'd like to honour our elders and the traditional owners who came before us, the ones who have really advocated for our rights and interests and our obligations to sea country, and the ones who are still leading that work today. Everything that we'll be talking about today in this ReefYARNS webinar sits on the back of that work. I also want to extend that acknowledgement to Mob on the call and the traditional owners of the country that everyone is dialing in from. For me, that's the Kabi people, the Sunshine Coast. Thank you for taking the time to join us for the final ReefYARNS webinar today. By way of introduction, my name is Mishalia Bird. I am a Torres Strait Islander woman with connections to Mogollon in the near Western Islands of Zenarkez. I grew up on Wyburn or Thursday Island and now reside on beautiful Kabi country here on the Sunshine Coast. And I'm the Director of Comms and Creative here at ReefTO. I'm joined today by our ReefTO Task Force Co-Chair, Dwayne Fraser. Dwayne, over to you to say hello.
Thanks, Mish. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the call. My name's Dwayne Fraser. I'm a Wagga man from Magnetic Island on my mother's side. My great-grandfather's from Darnley, and my father is a Bidjara man from Central Queensland. It's a great opportunity to come and talk to you about where we've landed with the governance arrangements and let you know what to expect about the summit that's happening in September. I'm really excited to have got to this point. A combination of the last few years' work in designing what an alliance for our people might look like. So very excited to be on the call today. Thanks, Mish.
Thanks, Dwayne. We also have some ReefTO staff online, so you may see them jump into the yarn as we go. It's all very natural, the way that we yarn, so we try not to have it too formal, and so people might jump in as we go. A few quick housekeeping points before we get into the webinar today. This session will run for about 40 minutes with 10 minutes at the end for some questions. It is being recorded and will be shared on the ReefTO website afterwards. So if you do drop off, don't worry, you won't miss anything. The recording will be made available later. Cameras on is optional, however, the microphones are muted for everyone to keep that background noise down for the recording. If you do have a question as we go, please pop it into the Q&A chat and we'll get to it at the end of the session. If you're having any issues with our Q&A feature today, then your question through to engage@reefto.au and we'll check for it there. And then as always, we're following the ReefTO gathering protocol today, which you would have seen when registering for the webinar, to keep this a safe and respectful space for all of us. So today's yarn is the fifth and final in our ReefYARN series. To very quickly recap on the other sessions, the first one was about why we needed an alliance in the first place. Our second yarn walked through the alliance building blocks and what we heard from Mob about them. Session 3, we unpacked the ReefTO Alliance leading model, which is our proposed governance structure. And then in session 4, we covered the Future Fund, what that is and why it matters for our long-term financial independence. So today's session brings all of that together. We're going to summarise the engagement journey, where we landed on the alliance, the final governance model, and importantly, what happens next as we are heading towards the ReefTO Summit in September. So today is really about making sure everyone knows exactly what to expect when you get there and what you need to do beforehand. Next slide, thanks. So To summarise the engagement journey, which is no easy feat, in March last year, ReefTO held a Sea Country Forum where we brought together reef traditional owners for the first time in 26 years. We had over 160 people in attendance at that forum, representing over 65 traditional owner groups across the Great Barrier Reef. There was very strong support at that forum to go down this pathway of establishing a reef-wide alliance, building on over 3 decades of work and making this concept a reality. But it was really important that we had further conversations about what that alliance would actually look like. So over the last year and a half, we have been out there with traditional owners right across the reef, from Bundaberg in the south right through to the eastern islands of the Torres Strait in the north. We've been listening and yarning about what a reef-wide alliance should look like, what should it do, who should it involve. And then off the back of that, we then developed the leading governance model, and we opened that model up for a formal comment period. So Mob could tell us what we got right and what still needed some work. Some of the key things that we heard was there was really strong support for that reef-wide traditional owner alliance. There was that really strong support for this collective advocacy for having a stronger, united voice together. There was strong support for having, long-term financial independence through that future fund piece, so that the alliance wouldn't be tied to any one funding cycle or any particular government. In terms of where the model needed more work, we heard that, we needed more clarity on membership pathways, what the board was going to look like, what regional representation would look like and how voting would work, how the elders council and how the youth voice should be structured, as well as some clarity on which traditional owner groups sit in which of the 6 regions. So we have taken all of that on board, and we've been working really hard to finalise all the pieces, which we'll talk through today. So now we are moving into the next phase, which is standing the alliance up. And so for this next piece, I'm going to hand over to Dwayne to talk through where we landed, the governance model, the summit, and next steps.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Mish. Next slide. So where did we land? Well, after all the conversations that occurred across all of the communities that we had them, with the hundreds of yarns and the multiple regional forums, the one-on-one conversations, everything we heard was not really a surprise. We all knew that traditional owners wanted an alliance. They confirmed that in March last year, but they reaffirmed that the entities should be traditional owner owned and traditional owner led, should be membership based on nations, not individuals, that it brings together the collective strength of all our people to assert our authority over the Great Barrier Reef, that it should be independent of government as much as possible, and that the funding base from the Futures Fund should ensure that our governance arrangements are there in perpetuity, and that no government could take that away. Always the squeaky wheel's the first to be dealt with. The alliance, we heard very clearly, doesn't replace the authority of PBCs. We've never asserted that it should, and that traditional owner organisations that have been put in place by their people to speak for their country should always be the only voice for that particular country. This is about bringing all of those pieces of cultural authority in the reef together to work together with a shared platform to influence the things that are decisions that are made about our country. It was asserted during those regional dialogues that in order for us to function as an entity, it needed to be an incorporated body. And although we explored other structures all over the country that aren't incorporated, I think for the way in which we need to operate and for the size and capacity of the organisation, it had to be that way. That it should be grounded in cultural law and in kinship and connection to sea country, and that we would start with the wet stuff first. Traditional owners who've got rights and responsibility over the Great Barrier Reef itself, and we'll work in the future with our catchment partners, traditional owners who's kind of further up into the freshwater systems. And that we would work through the conversations in the lead up to the summit, and the summit will be that moment where we launch it in September 29th and 30th in Gladstone, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Next slide, thanks. From all the conversations and after the leading model was presented, this is pretty much where we landed. And it's pretty straightforward, really. It doesn't need to be too complicated. That traditional owners across the 6 regions of the Great Barrier Reef would elect 2 representatives to sit on the board. And the regions are kind of articulated there. The Eastern Islands of the Torres Strait, Cape York, Far North, Northern, Central and Southern. The exact breakup and the people that the groups that should be in each of those regions will be confirmed at the summit in September. We're not asserting as a task force who should be in what area. It's really up for the regions to decide about that, and there'll be a space for Mob to have a yarn about where they feel more comfortable and if they want to be on one side or the other. Noting that this is not an alliance of regions, it's an alliance of traditional owners, traditional owner groups. The regions will only really come into play when we're having conversations about electing the board or electing the co-chairs. It's not really going to have any relevance beyond that. We said that then that young people needed a place in this governance arrangements, a dedicated, enshrined place. It couldn't be taken away. It's important for our young people to see themselves in the alliance. That was confirmed in the regional dialogue. So there'll be a youth council appointed by the board, nominated by traditional owners. Similarly, an elders council to ensure that whatever this organisation is doing moving forward maintains cultural guidance from our senior leaders in the reef. Again, they would be nominated and appointed by traditional owners and appointed by the board. We'll discuss that in September at the summit. Importantly, in this process, there needed to be some kind of checks and balances put in place, particularly with the management of the Futures Fund. And the advice from both the designers of the Futures Fund and from the department is that we should establish an investment committee. Those skill sets to understand how large funds like the Future Fund should be invested are pretty scarce, particularly in our own communities. So we're bringing in expertise to provide guidance on that. And then the board of directors, chaired by the co-chairs, who are elected by the whole membership. They don't have to come from a region. Will appoint and manage the Alliance CEO and staff. Next slide. A more complicated picture of that is this. We've included that in there for those who are kind of governance nuts or governance nerds who want to really look through the particular elements there. So that we've just kind of put that up there for people to have visibility of. Okay. So what will happen at the summit? So although the full board will not be elected at the summit and there's going to be process in place, this is still a really exciting and important part of this timeline. At the summit in September, we will launch the ReefTO Alliance. We will call for its founding members. We will elect the interim co-chairs who will guide the organisation over the early establishment phase. We'll set the policy reform agenda from traditional owners who are in that room, who have been sent by their mob to go represent their interests and promote their aspirations. We'll set what those priority reforms are for the Alliance over the short future, and then we'll plan how each of the regions will do their nominations and election processes with the intention that an AGM of all those who decide on joining, either there or in the lead up to that AGM, will elect the inaugural board of ReefTO. It's a very exciting moment in what has been 30 plus years of planning. Next slide. So what does it mean to be a member? Well, ReefTO organisations with authority over reef will be invited to send their leaders. So 6 people from each group. The call for applications is going out while this is being recorded, while this ReefYARNS being recorded with the founding members pack. And then the founding members will be asked to establish the entity. This will be the single largest traditional owner cultural alliance in the Great Barrier Reef over a particular ecosystem. 70 odd members, if that's how we land to, but we'll build towards it. It's not an insignificant organisation. It will completely change the political landscape of the Great Barrier Reef. Tourism operators, mining industries, fisheries, commercial and both recreational have all enjoyed a coordinated approach and influence over the decisions that are made on the Great Barrier Reef, and we have not. That's about to change. And the Alliance will work for the benefit of all reef traditional owners, not just those that are members, but members will have the right to make decisions about how the organisation is run and how it is elected and the approach that it takes. What we thought was very important from a task force perspective is that at this summit, along with setting the priorities and establishing the organisation, the members that come should have the opportunity to elect the inaugural co-chairs of the board, the people's leaders, under an interim arrangement to oversee the elections of the inaugural board, potentially stand for themselves, to guide the transition process, to put all the processes in place to oversee the elections and become the returning officer for that, but also to oversee the recruitment of any senior leadership, including the CEO, if they so choose to do in that period of time. Nominations for the interim co-chairs will go out on the 10th of August and close on the 11th of September. The requirement is that to stand for election as a co-chair, you have to be a traditional owner and you have to have a letter recognising that you're a traditional owner of the Great Barrier Reef from a traditional owner organisation. You don't have to come from a particular region. The co-chairs do not represent the interests of one region or one traditional owner group. Their job, like the whole alliance, is to work for the interests of the whole reef and all of our people. They are a part-time leadership role and they receive an annual director's fee. And with the call for nominations, there'll be a position description, eligibility, voting information. It'll all go out on the ReefTO website very soon. Who needs to come to the summit? So the summit is happening on in Gladstone on the 29th to the 30th of September. It'll probably be the largest gathering of Reef Traditional Owners that has ever happened inside the Great Barrier Reef. 450 or thereabouts. The numbers will probably be somewhere from 350 to 450. That is a huge gathering of our leaders to come together and talk about our business. Invitations that will go out to all the organisations inside the World Heritage Area that have been put in place by their mob to represent the interests of their groups, and all of them will be asked to give their a statement of intention as to whether or not they want to join the alliance. If they want to join now, if they plan on joining, they're not sure yet. They're still invited to come and have conversations about whether or not this is the right way for our people to move forward together. So 6 from each group. And they should be the individuals who are known from their mob to be the boss. And we're asking people to send their bosses, right, for all of the different business of their country. We really need to get this right. And in order to get this right, we need people to come and sit in those rooms who have got some authority from their mob to speak on these matters. We're encouraging, but we're not requiring for you to include some young people in that delegation, 1 or 2 young people, but it's really your decision to make. If you are sending young people, however, they need to be over 18. So we're kind of putting them in the bracket of 18 to 30. That's purely from a logistics point of view and managing an event. If you have people under the age of 18, there's a sweep of other requirements. These are also really important conversations, and we think the people that are sitting in those rooms need to have the maturity to engage at the right level. What will happen after the summit? I've already told you that we're going to elect the interim leaders. We'll put in place the way in which the regions will come together in the first period of 2027. But in the period of time between then and what would be an AGM come mid-2027, there has to be kind of regional conversations, regional meetings that have been determined. Those meetings are really important. For a lot of regions, they've not really come together in that way before, and having a better understanding of how they want to work together will be important. Of course, there's probably going to be people listening to this who will say, oh, well, we don't get along with our neighbours. That's fine. We're not saying that this is going to solve those problems, but in order for us to have productive relationships right across the reef, we need to find ways to come together and talk about the things that collectively impact us all. Some of the regions, no doubt, will, in those conversations, decide who they're going to put forward for nominations in the lead up to the Alliance AGM, where the full inaugural board of the Alliance, including the co-chairs, will be put in place. The interim board between the summit and those proper elections will be the 2 co-chairs, the interim co-chairs elected at the summit, and the task force members will move to temporary board directors in the lead up to the AGM to assist in the oversee of elections and ensure there's a transition of knowledge and put everything in place during that period of time. It's a very important period of time. There's a lot of things to kind of be established. So, and then we'll end really the July-ish 2027 with a new board, new chairs, and then the Alliance will be fully operational. It says end of 2027, but it's going to be mid 2027. Right, and this is kind of a graphic just to kind of articulate what I've just spoken through. Call for nominations, registrations will go out today, 10th of August. The co-chairs, just to reiterate, we will seek that those who are sending to come to delegate those representatives to give us an understanding of what their intent is at the meeting. Are they going to join? They're not sure yet. There's a few more questions to answer. Elect the chairs, and then kind of all of that's on there. So I've really just kind of went through those things already.
Yeah, and sorry, can we just go back one slide? I think just to highlight for those who are attending the summit, there's 4 key things that we really need you to do. That is to read through the information pack that we will be sending out today to really understand the Alliance and what being a member involves, that Dwayne's talked about with us this morning. Choosing your 6 representatives, at least one with decision-making authority to attend the ReefTO Summit on behalf of your group, and then registering to attend and completing your travel forms as soon as possible. And then lastly, completing and returning this statement of intent. That statement of intent is for you to just give us an indication of whether or not your group is considering becoming a member of the Alliance, just to help with our planning for the summit. So that's not a formal commitment by any means. It's just letting us know what way you're thinking of going, whether yes, I want to become a member of the Alliance, or I need some more time to think about this and discuss this with my group.
And, importantly, for those groups that are happy, that are very clear they're going to join this Alliance and they're happy for us to share that, I think it's important for other mobs to know that people are actually interested, they believe in this, they support it, they want to be a part of it. That's also part of the reason we want to do this. One, just for our own, make sure we're confident that we're going to have a summit and everyone wants to come and it's going to be important, which I have complete faith in. But I think others need to hear from their peers that this is a good thing or not, and I think that's important for us to share. Okay. Do you want to talk through the pack, Mish?
Yes, I'll talk through the information pack. So this will go out today, and basically this will be your guide to the ReefTO Alliance, what it is, how it's going to be governed, what membership means, and what to expect at the summit. All that information is in there, all the details, all the links that you require. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our team at any time. The best way to contact us is engage@reefto.au. That's our main mailbox that we'll all be checking every single day. But yeah, that's the heads up that the info pack will go out, and that's the key information that will be in there. Anything else, please reach out to our team. Great. Any questions from those online? Melissa, I think your microphone may be on mute. I don't know if we can take it off.
There we go.
There we go.
Hi. So we have a board meeting coming up this Sunday. So I'd like to present the board with some information regarding Alliance and stuff. So yeah, what can I take to the board to get to get our group to become a member and be a part of ReefTO? Is it just the information pack that you're going to send out, or?
Yes. Yeah. Good. Nice to see your face. 100%. The pack is designed. It'll get sent to a kind of central email address, and we can confirm who will go to for your mob. But then what we're asking is everyone take that, just like you're suggesting. Sit down with your leaders, talk about what's inside of it. It is quite an intensive pack. There's a bit in there, but the front end of it, the elements of the front end will be probably enough for people to get a good understanding about what it is. Yeah, take that pack back and sit down with your with the board. That's exactly what we
So I'll once you send it out, I'll read it and jot down some points and present it to the board. at our meeting, and hopefully, yeah, I don't see a problem with us joining. So yeah, sounds like a good thing. Thanks. Awesome. That's all the questions I've got, really. Yeah. I think everything will be explained in the pack.
They're pretty proud of the pack, so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We've tried to preempt as many questions as possible.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fingers crossed.
There's a lot to cover.
I guess just to note on that, if you do have questions after you receive the info pack, we've got the engagement team and they're definitely happy to come and have a yarn or jump on the phone or anything like that to explain anything that might not be clear or whatever. So there's
Yeah,
definitely
well, maybe
that pathway too.
I'm thinking maybe that's one thing either our BMC or the board want to maybe get yous on one of our teams meeting to explain more. And yeah,
Yeah,
because I
that's
think
definitely
it's
possible.
still relatively new to them. And but yeah,
Sure thing. Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, well, good luck with it all, and yeah, doing a great job.
Thank you. Mitch, if there's no more questions, there's only Melissa and...
No other questions coming through the Q&A.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. I like
Great.
it's a reflection of
Efficient.
how comprehensive the presentation
Awesome.
was. That everyone's feeling slack. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
very much, everyone, for joining. If you want to follow along with regular updates, please feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We also have the ReefTO newsletter that we send out every month with a summary of all the big key updates that have been happening. So I highly recommend subscribing to that one to stay on top of all the key info that you need to know. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining. I hope that was really useful and informative. A recording of this will be up on our website for anyone who missed it or for any parts that you want to rewatch or if you want to share it with someone who couldn't make it today. Otherwise, we will see you at the summit.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.